Hi everybody, welcome back to the What Now Workshop. Today I have yet another project that my son came up with, which is building a food table for the dog. I guess he wanted the food dishes to be up off the ground. It's healthier for the dog, etc. Again, this is his idea. He came up with it, but we're going to build it. So I've already kind of started, so I'm going to go ahead and show you what we've done so far and what we're going to do. Okay, so what we've done so far is my son, again, drew these plans up. It's basically a little table. It's about 5 inches high. It's got 2 circles for each, the food and the water bowl. He's got specific measurements, but we may have to play around with this to make sure everything fits. So what I've done so far is I've got 2 pieces of plywood that I've glued together because I want to make this a specific way. I've also got these closet rods that I'm going to use for legs. And what we're going to do is we're going to first cut this piece to the length and the width we want. Then we're going to drill our holes for the food dishes, cut those out. There's going to be some sanding, some routering, etc. These legs, what I plan on doing is cutting through 1 layer of the 3/4 plywood, because I have 2, and making these legs, and they're going to kick out a little bit at an angle. But I thought these would be perfect for legs because they are basically 1.5 inches around. So we'll put 4 of these on here, glue them in place. You know, the typical staining, clear coating, etc. Unless, of course, he wants it painted. But that is what we're going to be doing, and he is going to be actually helping me with this. He actually helped me with the last project, so he wants to learn this stuff as well. So why not give him a shot? All right, so what I've done so far is I took an 1.25 inch spade bit and I drilled a pilot hole so I could start my cut with the jigsaw. And of course I did that with both pieces. And then I was just able to cut this out with a jigsaw, and I can remove this piece and I can remove that piece. And now we have the makings of either a huge pair of glasses or a table for a dog dish, dog dishes to sit in. So now what I need to do is I need to sand this out, do some routering, etc. You know, you kind of know the drill. But that's what I've done so far, and that's how I got to this point. Okay, so where we're at right now with this is I've already got the holes for the dog dishes sanded out. They're nice and smooth. They've been cut out to the appropriate size. The dog dishes are going to stick up just a little bit so you can get your fingers in and pick them up. But I've also got holes drilled on the bottom for the legs. Now, this is an example of one of the legs. What I've done is I drilled these at an angle. So this one is kind of drilled a little bit at an angle like so. This one's drilled at an angle like so, etc., etc. So that way the legs will flare out. We won't have to worry about this tipping or anything like that. And I'm most likely going to be cutting the legs at an angle as well. Now, we don't want this dog dish to be too tall because we have a small dog. So it will essentially look like that, but it will be a little bit shorter. It's only going to be, I think, my son wanted it to be no more than 5 inches from the floor to the top. So we will cut these legs accordingly. So the next step I need to do is I want to run a router around the outside edge to get rid of these sharp corners. We're going to attach the legs and pick a stain, and that's pretty much where we're at. So this is actually coming together pretty nice. It's taken a little bit of time, but I'm not in a hurry to do this. I'm just wanting to make sure that it's done right. Okay, so we've got quite a bit accomplished so far. As of right now, I've got the holes drilled for the legs. I've got the legs in, not glued or anything like that. I'll kind of explain this. So I'm going to take these out and set them aside. I got to keep them in an order because they have to go in a specific spot. But what we've done is we've got this all sanded out. We've got a nice routed edge using a Roman Ogi bit, which gives it a nice nice edge on it, little dimension, which I'm gonna show you what we're gonna do with this actually. But then we've got our legs cut. Now I mentioned before that I drilled these at an angle, but I also need the legs cut at an angle because they're going to be flared out, sitting like so. Okay, so out a little bit that way. And it was kind of a pain to cut these at the angle that I wanted. So I had to set a random piece of dowel material. Here's a piece that was kind of busted, but I had to set a piece there and lay a piece of wood across it and then make a mark to figure out the degrees. And I figured out the degrees was about 5 degrees. So that's what we have this cut at, is 5 degrees. So it's not straight, it's got a little angle to it. Now the other thing that I've done is, once I got these in place and I figured out that they were level, I need to set these so I can glue them. And I don't know if you can see it or not, but I've got a pencil mark here and a pencil mark here. And so I've made sure to line those up. And so those will line up when I glue them. And I'm going to try to zoom in here so you can see. But this pencil mark lines up with the pencil mark that's on the actual table. So that way I know where, when I glue them, where they need to be. And I have another idea as well. So I'm going to put these back in. So that lines up with that. Now this could go too far or not far enough. So that's where my next idea is going to come in handy. So I'll line that one up with that one. So what I decided to do was take a piece of shelving material and lay it across the top and make sure that these are actually on their marks, and then making sure that they're tilted the right way, so where this is flat up against the bottom of this shelf, when I glue it, see, like this one right here needs to be raised, and that one needs to be raised. So now this sits flat like it would be on the floor. So what I'll do is I'll glue these, I'll set these feet in place. I'll take this shelf, this extra shelf that I had, I'll set it on there, make sure that the feet are flat up against it, and then I'll take this 25-pound weight, set that on top of it, let the glue dry, and then our feet should be in the position where they need to be. So that is my genius idea, but we'll see if it works. Okay, so as you can see, my genius idea of putting the shelf here and having the legs glued with the weight on top of the shelf supporting it and pushing down on it to make sure that it dries where it needs to be, but as well as making sure that all of the feet are sitting flat. So this turned out to work, and it worked very nicely. So what we've got is our legs are glued. Actually, the piece has been stained. John has put 2 coats of stain on it. I have signed it with a date, as I do most of my projects. I probably just don't document those. The other thing that we decided to do was we were going to add a little offsetting color or little contrast to this piece. So we decided to take a darker stain, and I took a Q-tip and stained this little band, the router that we did, around the shelf. But he stained the rest of it using a nice light color stain, which is Ipswich Pine. How I came about that was my buddy David wanted me to build him a ramp for his dogs to go in to be able to get up onto their bed. And the stain that he chose for his project was Ipswich Pine. And you know what? I kind of like it. It's a light color stain, brings out the grain in the wood very well. But it's not too dark. I mean, the dark is good in some areas and on some types of wood, but other types of wood require a lighter stain. So our dog dish tray table is pretty much done. We just need to clear coat it, let it dry, and install it. So I want to film the last part of this once my son is back home, and we will conclude this. Okay, well, I had planned on clear coating this piece with some rattle can or spray on clear coat. However, it's really, really windy outside, and I'm afraid that my efforts will be futile with the fact that the clear coat won't stick because of the wind. So what I've done is I've created my own little spray booth out of cardboard. Nothing fancy, just some cardboard I had laying around. At least this gives me the opportunity to spray indoors without getting it everywhere. I kind of wish I had a little top to put on it, but I don't. However, I will crack the garage to let the airflow blow all the fumes out. So, but you can make one of these just with any cardboard you got laying around. It's always good to have cardboard extra in your garage for stuff like this, or for painting or staining or whatever. You don't want to get something on something. It's always a good idea to have. Okay, so here we have our finished product. Was putting some final touches on it, like some pads for the bottom so the feet won't scratch the floor, and so it'll stay level and it won't rock. We've got a nice clear coat on it. I think it turned out pretty good. I know my helper John is pretty happy with it. Wouldn't you say? Mm-hmm. So one last thing that we need to do is we're going to put this little dog tag on the front of it. So I'm just going to hang it right here with a screw. Just kind of jazz it up a little bit, but otherwise this project is done. Okay, and so I've just put the final touch on it. I went to PetSmart today and bought a little dog tag. Figured that would be the easiest way to do it rather than, you know, try to carve his name in there or whatever. So I think it really looks pretty cool. So yeah, this project is done. All right, so as always, thank you for watching my channel. If you like this video, make sure you hit like. If you're new to the channel and you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. But as always, appreciate you watching. See you next time. The What Now Workshop.